Primos.
Welcome back to another episode of Las Primas Hermanas podcast. This is a very special episode because we are celebrating the month of Pride. Right?
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
It's already, I would say, a struggle to be in the LGBT community itself. But the added layer of struggle would be even to be a person of color in the LGBTQ community. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, like whether it's in the Latino community or even in the Black community. We're so excited because we have our very, very first guest on the podcast.
Happens to be my best friend, Jamar.
Not the balls rub.
He knows I always do this to him. My boyfriend for the summer.
I am not your man. I am not your man.
Yeah, so Jamar, when did you realize you were gay?
You sound so enthusiastic to answer that.
I am. I was just thinking of a different word. I was honestly going to say something else, but I stuck to gay.
She's not trying to get canceled.
Yeah.
When I think I had an inclination when preschool had started. So, watching the video of SWV, You're the One for Me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I know.
Pre-K is a little young, don't you think?
Is it though?
No.
But what is it? What is it that you felt like? Was it?
So wait, tell us about the video. What's in the video?
In the video, if I can remember it correctly, SWV was on motorcycles, and I guess they were trying to get the attention of attractive male, and I was like, yeah, that person looks good. I couldn't distinguish if it was just how they looked or how they were singing to him, but I felt arousal, and at the time, I don't know what the hell arousal meant. Right. So, if you see when I was at Head Start, my mom would take pictures of me, and I would pose like I was a cover girl. I think I still have that picture. And I'm just
Wait, what was the pose?
Oh, like, how do I put this? It's like, my life was like this in the back, and I was like...
That's hilarious.
And I'm just like, I'm pretty... Yeah, my shoulder was like out, and I was like that. And I'm like, I don't know if my mother knew or not. I think she had an inclination that possibly, but she probably put it out in her mind. She's like, yeah, no, he's just very sassy. Very sassy. Yeah, that's what I knew. Then when you're young, you don't really hear or ask the questions. You just know that you're a little different because you get bullied a lot. Mm-hmm. And you always get, why you talk like this? Why you act like this? Why you walk like this? You got a little prep in your step. You got a little sugar in your tank. All the things that you would hear when you're a kid. And you just like, I'm different. It's okay. But when you get older, you realize that, okay, I am really different. And maybe my sexual orientation or identity is not the same like everybody else. Mm. 7th grade, I had a pretend girlfriend. Her name is Tina.
Damn, you took it to the extreme.
Wherever you are, Tina.
I had a pretend girlfriend. For some reason, my mother wasn't excited, but when I told her that she worshipped the devil, she's like, no. But I think 7th grade, I was going through puberty, and the hormones was high, and I had a couple of crushes, like I normally do. Don't judge me. This is a judgment-free zone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had multiple crushes from 7th grade to 8th grade.
We judge, but in front of your face.
And I think that's why I really knew that I was.
Wait. So what was the role of this pretend girlfriend? How did you recruit her?
She recruited me, actually.
But did she know? Did you know? Like, did you go into it saying this is a pretend girlfriend, or was it just I'm trying to have a girlfriend because that's the right thing to do? I wanted to
try to be straight.
Normal.
Everybody was doing it, so I wanted to follow along and like, I want a girlfriend. But I was like, is this really for me? And it only lasts for like a good 2 weeks. And then I found out that she started dating another dude named Mark, and they actually had sex. And I was like,
hey, Mark.
Hey, that's some tea.
Tina and Mark, just putting them out there.
Well, that was close to Mike and Tina.
Last name. Who the hell is Mike and
Who the
Tina?
hell?
Ike and
Like,
Tina.
Ike and
Wow.
Wow.
Now we have to cut that out. We have to cut
Oh
that out.
my
to
God.
save your
Why did you
embarrassment.
say that?
No, you don't.
But okay, so I'm just curious. Okay, so going back a little bit, preschool is when you felt like attraction towards men.
Mhm.
Like you noticed, oh, there's men on the screen, and I'm like attracted to that. But at that time, you're obviously, even as a kid, that's a problem. Even I think in communities in general, people are like, oh, you can't force this on kids, whatever.
Mhm.
Kids don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're not like, I'm gay. They're just, they're going through the world trying to figure out what the hell they're feeling. So you're feeling attraction towards males. But then you continue to go on through your life. Like you said, you had a pretend girlfriend all the way up to 7th grade. And,
Yes.
You say pretend now because...
Yeah.
But
Well, he
at the
tried
time,
it.
you were
Right.
trying it out because you're
Yes.
still not fully, living this gay life. Like, you're
Mhm.
not like, I'm a gay man trying to make it in the world
Mhm.
at that time. So it's like, what was that like, that period from like preschool to before you came out, where it's like how you mentioned that you were a little different and things like that? Did you get comments from your family?
I got a
what
lot
was it
of...
that you were feeling when you felt different?
I felt like I was an outsider a lot in my family, especially around my friends, but mostly around my family. I grew up with a family. I had 1 aunt and 7 uncles, so masculinity
Okay.
was prominent. And there was times when my uncles would make comments like, you got to put him in on football. He got the football build. He needs to stop playing always in the house. A lot of masculinity, a lot of toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
And I always felt like I was like an outsider looking in because I didn't feel comfortable being around family or being around friends. And then at school, it was worse. It's just like, you're a girl. Why you act like a girl? Why you talk like that? Why you act, you a sissy? And I think the first time somebody called me gay, I didn't know what it is. Like, you're a little kid. I think it was 4th grade. I was arguing with another kid, and it's like, you gay. I don't know what the hell that means. And I was too scared to ask my mom because I felt like I knew the word, but I didn't know the reaction I would get if I went to my mom and said, hey, somebody called me gay. How would that make her feel? Or what is the resolve behind it?
Did you feel like she knew where? Because you're saying that these kids were calling you gay. Did you feel like everybody knew but you? Or because I met Jamar as an adult. So the Jamar I know, I don't consider him flamboyant. Were you flamboyant growing up? Like,
I was.
oh, okay. So you were... That's how...
Sassy.
I was very
sassy.
sassy. I toned
Okay.
down my sassiness a little. I did tone down my sassiness, but when I was younger, I was very sassy, and I think that contributes to why a lot of the kids, mostly boys.
Yeah,
I had a lot of
cool.
girls. I had a lot of girlfriends. The boys I had problems with, just like, you're a faggot, you're gay, you walk like a girl, you talk like a girl. Why your head move like that? Why you always with the girls? Why you always... Yeah.
It was a lot.
And you didn't
It
really
was a
relate
lot.
that at that
Mm-mm.
time to being gay. You just like, this is me. This is what I'm comfortable doing. I
Mhm.
think that's what a lot of people don't understand within both communities. In some cases, I think both Latino and Black cultures have like a deep religious structure.
Mhm.
Even if people are not necessarily religious, like they don't even go to church every week, but they still feel like, oh, that's against God, that's against the Bible, like certain things that, affects the culture on a wider level.
Mhm.
But I feel like you'll see that. I've always been a believer that you're born gay, like you can't do anything about that. And then you look back in hindsight and you'll see like, oh, see, like the
Yeah.
boy, maybe he was a little sassy, a little, feminine.
Like there are always
whatever it is.
signs.
There were
Yeah.
signs, but then because as a social community, you're kind of like, denying it, or like, I understand the nuances of people trying to say, well, don't like encourage it or something, like just like don't tell him he's gay. Like I understand that. Let them come into it on their own, but also don't make them feel uncomfortable for how they're just naturally acting. Like, there's little girls that are a little bit tomboy, and then there's boys that are a little bit flamboyant. Like just let them be until they grow
out.
into it. But
Do you-
obviously we
are
grew up
you-
in the 90s. It was different
Right.
at that
I
time.
feel like a lot of the parents do be knowing, right, that their child,
but they're in denial.
Yeah.
but they're in denial, or they turn a blind eye, or they just mostly more denial than anything. Do you
Mhm.
feel like your mom was like that? Like she was in denial? Do you feel that she
probably
knew?
knew.
I think she had a idea. But piggyback to what you were saying about the religious part, I when I was a kid, I think another part of that played a part of why I didn't tell my mom I was being bullied and people was calling me gay is because of the religious aspect. Me and my mom went to church religiously, and I know the Bible front and back.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in Sunday school, when you're in the church, they always tell you homosexuals are gonna go to hell. You can't do this. Leviticus past such and such and such.
Mm-hmm.
No man can lie with another man. No woman can lie with another woman. God strike down. I think it was a city. I got remember.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Sodom and Gomorrah,
Yes.
yeah.
Destroyed it because it was man and man, woman and woman, and I felt like I know for a fact that I was like, if I tell my mom that I'm being called gay, it was like that's a sin. That's a sin,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was parts of that. I was like, yeah, I don't think I should say this to her because we're in church and it's going to look bad on her. God forbid it comes out. And I'm pretty sure for the Hispanic community, for when you're deeply in the church and you have a community of the church, when people find out that you have people are committing sin, they like gossip a lot about it, and it just pushes people away. And I'm just like, I didn't want that from my mom. So I'm just like, I'm going to keep it to myself. And I think a lot of that, I internalized homophobia a lot when I was younger.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like it kind of, like, does any of it still reach into your adulthood? Because I feel like even in anybody who has a religious trauma, sometimes it creeps into why you do certain things or think certain things, even as an adult, even if you don't identify with a certain religion, but it kind of like changes that brain chemistry of how you think, you know?
Yes, it like a little pieces of it seeped into adulthood. Now that I'm 34 years old in this ghetto piece of rock we call Earth, it seeps into my everyday life, and I try to like move away from it. But yeah, that was mostly my preschool all the way to 7th, 8th grades of kind of knowing that I was gay and knowing I was different, and the bullying and internalized homophobia. But then in high school,
that's the discovery age.
High school is it was junior year. Most of my friends are from Harp Academy. They probably remember this story of when I came out the closet.
This is your coming out story?
I had 2 coming outs.
So which one is this one out of the 2?
The first one, I was forced out of the closet because it was a short story that I wrote, and it got out about a boy that I had a crush on. And I went to a school with a lot of females, and it was a saying that it's too much pussy in the air, and it was very catty. So basically, somebody got a hold of the short story, maliciously made copies of it, and basically put it out, and it got to the guy that I had a crush on to the point where my mom had to come to school.
Wow.
I was literally forced to say that I'm bisexual because I knew the weight of telling her that I'm gay would just totally like. And shout out to my 2 best friends Chantel and Naisha.
His real best friend.
They knew like the weight of
Should have introduced you as one of my best friends.
They knew that me saying that I was bisexual, they knew the truth that I was actually gay. And I felt like I put a mask on who I was as an individual and just tried to.
But you were protecting your mom.
I was extremely protecting my
your mom, and also it has a lot to do with how our communities, are not accepting, because they can accept everybody else's child, but when it comes down to your child, your very own child, they're not as accepting.
They take it really personal, as in they failed in some way as a parent. Instead of considering that this is who you are, this is how you are, and you just have to be your true self.
Right.
Yeah, because I think they both the cultures feel like gayness is something that is either learned or encouraged or picked up on. Like, did they go to the wrong school? Did they hang out with the wrong friends?
Were you influenced?
You let him play with Barbies and you didn't tell, like, you didn't put him in
figure
football,
right?
Stuff like that, and like they try to blame. And another thing that both communities have in regards to having children, which I think is just a generational thing too, aside from cultural, where people have always had kids to kind of fulfill their own weird legacy. Like, they don't realize that having a child means this is an individual that's going to grow up to be whatever the hell he wants to be. Like, you're just pushing them along through life, but they're not going to be a reflection of what you want them to be when they grow up. You know, when you have a kid, you're thinking, I want them to have the best university. I want them to have the best job. I want them to have kids. So already, like, you know, someone coming out as gay is like, they're taking away from that a little bit because they're like, oh, wait, what does that mean? He's not going to have a wife. I'm not going to have grandkids. Like, you know, it starts to change their planned future of what they had for you as their kid. Because I feel like both communities do that a lot. They're like, well, no, I have this future plan for you. And now you're changing it. Right. You know, or people are going to look at you like this. And that's a reflection of me. Because it's not, you know, accepted in both. Like, they'll be fine with that. Like, I would feel like we have parents or even family that are perfectly fine with other people being gay. But once it's, like, in the family, it's like, ooh. Like,
my mama.
Don't talk about it too much, you know?
Because like that's a taboo, or they're the black sheep of the family. Yeah. So I think I did my mother a favor. I did more so a favor for her and just say I was bisexual. Because when I said I was bisexual, I felt like still her face dropped. I can remember it to this day. Her face just dropped. And it's like, what do you mean you're bisexual? Right. And I really wanted to say I'm gay. But
it was kind of like testing the waters to see her reaction and if you can come out later.
Did you have a conversation? Like, did she force a conversation with you when you got home after that?
So she went to work after she had to come to school. For some reason, they told me that I had to leave school because they felt as though I was going to be, my life was in danger. So they sent me to,
for
home.
Having a crush on a boy?
For having a crush on the boy, but also for the short story getting out and he finding out
for his burn book.
Was he straight?
He was straight. He was straight.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably felt disrespected, like most boys that age do. They're prideful.
Like, they're like, ooh, people like, oh, a gay kid is attracted to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I gotta make sure they don't think I'm gay too. Like,
what
toxic masculinity.
What grade was this in?
Yeah.
This was junior year for me, and he was a sophomore.
Okay, so this was high school already.
So that was, even because you just said there was 2 coming out stories, so that was like the forced one, and then so what was the second one? I think you were about to say that one.
Ooh,
you were saying how when you finally made it to high school.
When I finally made it to high school, that was my first coming out story. But then I felt a little bit comfortable, but then I went to college, Passaic County Community College, and I felt like I was around people that was out, proud, and they lived authentically through their own skin. And I'm just like, you know what, maybe I need to do that for myself. And I literally sat my mom down after we watched the episode of Glee. And I told her, like, hey, I want to talk to you about something. I think you have an idea. I think I was 21. And I said, hey, I am gay. I like men. It was just me and her because me and my mom lived with my uncle. It was just me and her that night. And I said, yeah, I'm gay. It doesn't change anything about me. I'm still the same boy that you birthed. I'm still Jamar Isaiah Stewart. I just have a different sexual orientation. Yeah. I think for 2 days she didn't talk to me. Then she started to come around. And gradually over time, she felt extremely comfortable with having a gay son.
Okay. That's good.
She just needed the time to process what she already knew in the back of her mind.
Yeah, she already knew.
She already knew.
Yeah.
I think she was just probably just trying to figure out where do we go from here. Like, now that I know, because she probably was still in the back of her head ever since that first moment in high school when you came out as bi, you know.
That never left her mind.
Parents have to, you know, they for their own sanity to keep on going, they have to like deny it themselves, you know, still have hope. The fact that you told her you were bi, she probably still had hope that someday you may marry a woman and, you know, especially if, you know, if you continued to date girls even after that moment. So
I didn't have no girlfriends. I was more interested in dudes. More interested in dudes anyway. shape, or form. And I think when I came out to her as gay, that same year I went to Pride in New York.
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you were 21 was your first Pride?
Yes.
But you felt that's like, I don't know, I'm not in your shoes, but the way I see it, like from outside the box, is like that was like your moment of, I'm free. I set myself free. Like, I don't no longer have to hide who I am, and I can do these things out in the open. Was that how you felt?
It felt good. It felt good. And there was a couple of times I went to Pride. I did wear revealing outfits.
Okay.
Like, and it was like times where she's like, "Oh, you wearing that? You wearing that?" Yeah. And there was one time 2 or 3 years before everything happened during COVID, I wanted to wear press-on nails. She actually helped me put on the press-on nails.
That's awesome.
And then ultimately, I'm like, no, I can't do this. I can't wear this.
Yeah, that's
we did all
the best friend I got.
Like, she said, we did all this work for you not wanting to wear it. I'm like, yeah, I wanted to try it. And I'm like, no.
Do you have siblings? Are you an
only child?
Oh,
and
okay.
a lot of people say, oh, now I see where your only child syndrome comes from.
So I do have another question for you. Did you tell your father, or did your mom tell your dad for you? Like, how did that play out?
So, backtracking to when I first came out, my mom called my dad, and we was at school, and I think in her mind, she's like, well, we need to tell your dad what's happening. And when I told him that I was bisexual, unknowingly to me, I have 2 aunts that are gay.
From his side?
You didn't know at that time.
And he's on the phone, he was like, are you okay? And he was like, are you sure you're bisexual? Because I felt as though that he also knew that I was gay, but he wanted me to say it for myself.
Okay.
And I think that's when I started to build some kind of relationship with my dad. Our relationship is not the best.
Okay.
That, full disclosure, we're not on the best of terms. I think it's more because there's potholes of when I was growing up and he wasn't around, and my mother was wearing the hat of mother and father. And then junior year, I'm already kind of becoming a young adult, and he's starting to come around. So I'm just like, I'm already.
You don't need him.
I don't really need him. I just need some kind of guidance to be more mature of going into my 20s. But I think he knew. The second time I came out
as full-blown
gay, he's like, oh, okay. He's like, you already telling me something that I already knew. So
okay.
He already knew. So, yeah. I think to this day, it doesn't bother him as much. Because my mom wanted me to have kids, get married to a woman, carry on the family legacy. But he came to the realization, just like my mom's like, I'm going to be my own person. It's not going to change who I am.
Yeah. Okay.
And there are gay couples that can adopt children.
And
still carry on their family's legacy. Yeah.
That's not something that they think about, though, because they expect you to, keep the generation going with your own blood. Keep the bloodline alive and the name, the family name. Because now, as a married couple, man and man, it's like, whose name are you taking? It doesn't mean that it's yours,
Yep.
I do have a question. When you finally realized that you were gay and you understood the word and what it meant, did you have a hard time accepting it for yourself?
Yes. I felt very uncomfortable, and then I started to realize that I was already black. I'm a black man, but now I'm more of I'm a gay man at the top of that. So it's just like, I have to be comfortable with being black, but also being gay. And being a part of the LGBTQ community, I realized that there's many layers to being a gay man in that community, especially being black. Nobody really talks about the many layers of being in the LGBT community, but also being colored. And I had to be comfortable with myself being gay, but also being comfortable with what it comes with as well. Because there was times like people like, oh, well, you're gay, you don't know how to fight. My left foot could say otherwise. I'm still a man at the end of the day. It's not going to change anything, but I had to be comfortable and weather the storm with myself with being out and proud.
Okay. Like, do you experience discrimination more as a Black man or as a gay man?
Mostly as a gay man, especially working in corporate America. There was many times, Giselle probably can tell you, there's many times I got discriminated against for being a gay man. And then I had to set boundaries. And
this is like hatred from entitled white men.
White men.
Karens,
but also people of color as well. Not all skin folk are kinfolk, and sometimes discrimination came from people that also looked like me, and it was very much wild to actually come face to face and experience. Like, we're both from marginalized community, and you telling me that you're gonna also discriminate against me because I am a gay man. That is wild and very uncomfortable to think about. But working in corporate America, I get discriminated against by mostly the whole spectrum, but also outside of corporate America, I get discriminated against for being gay as well. I live in Patterson all my life, and when people were like, oh, you're gay? And mostly the dudes like, so you're a fairy? You a faggot? Yeah, I am.
I mean, you do go with it because that's who you are, but do you ever feel like you feel saddened by it?
I feel very saddened.
Bothered.
And I just want to exist. And I feel like with so much going on in this country right now, they don't want people who are different, especially from marginalized communities, just to live and exist. And sometimes it's just exhausting. You come out to be out and proud, but you're telling me that there are people in this world, in this country, that don't like you for you being comfortable who you are as a person and being those authentic person.
Yeah.
It's like a double struggle too, because it's like you're a minority in both aspects. It's like you're a minority in the sense that you're a Black man in the gay community. So it's like the gay people, there's obviously a spectrum of it, but you're still Black at the end of the day. And a lot of people are still racist, right? Or even colorist, right? Even within people of color's community. So it's like dealing with just being Black in the gay community, but then also dealing with being gay in the Black community. It's like two struggles, you know?
Yes, and so I learned that the discrimination that I face, most of it comes from males. And I realized sometimes they're fighting their own urges of who they are behind closed doors.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
That's something I can't change. That's something they will have to change. I can only navigate my own life story, my own narrative. But at the same time, just like I tell them all the time after reading them down, because I'm good for reading a bitch. I'm good for reading a bitch down. Okay. Well, I'll go back to that topic. My gaydar juice sucks. But I will read a bitch down, and I'm just saying, I wish you well, and I hope one day that you're able to live your authentic self.
Right.
And you give yourself grace and be kind to yourself. But until then, don't try it.
Like
what is it that you say? These hands are rated E
for everyone.
I like that. No, like it's crazy because we live in this world where everyone wants you to be your authentic self unless you're gay, right? You know, so it's just a struggle in general. When is it that you feel the discrimination? Is it after you've said something? Because I feel like if you walked in a room, I couldn't tell you're a gay man.
Yes,
you know?
when in that case, 9 times out of 10, when I open my mouth, they were like, "Oh, you a little sassy, you a little feisty."
Because sometimes it's in the voice,
but it's in my voice. But if I don't say anything, I just walk in the room, they're like, straight. But when I open my mouth and I be my authentic self, they're like, "Oh, you gay?
Yeah.
You gay? Okay, I know."
I
you
feel
are."
like I
energy
couldn't
changes a little
tell.
bit.
I felt like I couldn't tell that he was gay because I met Jamar through COVID and we spoke on the phone, but I couldn't tell right off of it that you were gay talking to you. I feel like you also are very masculine gay.
Yes.
Not the flamboyant one that I hope for.
You'll be fine with that. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
No, but I couldn't tell. But like getting to know you over the years, then I'm like, oh yeah, I do see it. Well, you don't. I was blind to it, because I live my life where I accept people for who they are. Whatever. It's your preference, your life, right? So when I spoke to Jamar, it wasn't like, oh, he's gay. Like that was the last thing on my mind. But as I got to know him, now I pick up on like, oh yeah, the signs were there. He was a gay man all along.
Well, something about females. We love a gay man.
Right. But the one
Most of us.
honestly, I had to teach Jamar how to do makeup. I thought he was going to give me the scoop on doing makeup.
Okay,
Well, they're
so
not all the same. That's your prejudice.
that's your prejudice.
That's your bad.
You wish.
No,
you
no.
wish.
Gays have to know how to do makeup.
But
Yes.
I will tell you this. He dresses well. Very well. Very presents himself very good. Not today. But when he used to come into the office, he was dressed very nice all the time and very clean cut.
I think the way I dress is the expression of who I am, and I feel like being in certain spaces in the Black community, when we talk from slang to professionalism, we call it code switching. And I feel like since I'm already a Black gay man, I have to have some kind of armor where I'm able to navigate and distinguish myself from everybody else. And I feel like being clean cut, always put together. 9 times out of 10, you always see a gay man always put together, outfit on point, makeup on point. And I feel like that's our superpower and that's our armor to navigate in the world, just expressing ourselves and being authentic, but at the same time, be able to code switch from being the flamboyant masked gay or being to the well-suited professional.
Okay.
And sometimes I feel like, I don't know about everybody else who is a Black gay man, sometimes it is exhausting when you just have to put on a mask and just like, yeah. You have to give your tone, but then sometimes just like, I don't want to do that. Right. I just want to be me. And now where I work now, I have to be very mindful and careful because they are palm colored people of where I'm at, and I have to be very aware of my surroundings of being a Black man, but also a gay man, because the wrong thing that come out my mouth, it could be a real HR case.
And they're just waiting for
something. They're just
Yeah.
waiting. And sometimes it's exhausting and sometimes it's very liberating. I think Audre Lorde, one of my favorite authors, she said, when you're Black and queer, sometimes you feel like the sun is shining on you. Sometimes you just feel like you're at a constant rage. And the rage part is just wanting to be your authentic self in any space. I'm going to find that quote. But yes.
We'll link it at the bottom of the video. Right. Do you feel like, have you ever felt unsafe being your authentic self? Because I feel like that's something, I think in both communities, where people can get violent when somebody knows that you're gay, or people can just, they just want to cause harm for the simple fact that someone is gay. So people tend to hide it a little bit when you're in certain areas or certain environments. So have you ever felt unsafe, even though you're a large man?
Yeah, I'm 6'2", close to 300 pounds. You can try me if you want to, but sometimes I do feel unsafe in certain spaces. Especially, I feel like I like to be with people who are a nuance of how I navigate the world of being Black, colored, in marginalized communities. There's rare times that I will have a friend who is palm colored because
Palm colored. Is
I
that a
don't.
new term for white?
That's another term for white. I know. And I feel like when I talk to white people, I feel very unsafe. I don't know if it's the black part. I feel like it's mostly the black part that makes me feel unsafe, because we all know the history of white people in this country, but overall in this world.
Except for them.
Except
we all know the stories, but them.
And then this the gay side, and now with that Cheeto in office, with him doing so much to roll back any protections or any kind of medical health or counseling that people who are the LGBTQ community needs is not there, I feel more unsafe in those spaces as well. So there are times I do feel unsafe. It's just it's saddening. It's very sad sometimes when you're on social media or you're watching the news of how everything is happening, but more so centered for marginalized communities. And it's very tiring, and you just want a day of just like not coming to the realization that you really hate us. It's like, if it wasn't for us, most of this stuff would not be here. But
I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you find, is dating hard for you?
Dating
in
is
this
trash.
Community?
You want to talk? You want to go there?
No, well, I'm curious.
We already talked about dating and how terrible
trans,
but
imagine for you, is it
how? Yeah, like, is it hard for you to find someone?
It very is hard, especially in the gay community, because the gay community, I feel like it's sexually charged, and when I'm 6'2", close to 300 pounds, but I'm built like a football player. When you are not muscled on, or you're not passable beauty standards, it's very hard for you to find someone that you can date. Even though the dating scene is just full of piss and shit, and dating right now is just trash, it's more of another layer on top of dating in the gay community. The gay community, it's a stereotype of basically, we like to fuck on the first date. Nobody wants to date anymore. And most of my friends are from the LGBT community, and they can definitely agree. Most people just want to fuck, and they don't want to date. They don't want to build. They don't want to have a foundation to get to our 80s or 90s and just like have that white picket fence and just like think about the days when we were 20, 30, and 40s.
Not anymore, yeah.
And it's very hard, very hard. And sometimes it's very baffling. Like you don't want to build, but you're ready to fuck a stranger that you just met on a dating app.
Yeah.
And just give your body to this person.
Insane.
And that's really wild work to me. And yeah, the dating scene now in the LGBT community is very
well, for you.
For me, yeah, it's the very it's like no, what the hell, what the hell are y'all saying?
My God. I've heard things where actually there's a lot of black fetishization. Is that the word? Fetishment? What's the word? Like, yeah, like people just fetishize.
I can count on my finger how many dudes.
Even in the straight community, but with black men. But I can imagine, like, is it the same in black community and the gay community as well?
Yes, especially me and the black man. They're like, oh, where's that BBC? I love black cock. I love black men. What other part of me, other than me being having a black dick, do you want to get to know, other than you wanted me to fuck you or you fuck me? Because I'm a black man.
So you're hoping for more, like any of us, but you're hoping for more, like a valid connection, like finding that person that you're just going to spend your life with, not just dating in the gay community in general. You know what I mean? Like everybody kind of wants that person.
And it's a horrible stereotype, because it just like puts you in a box. It's just like, oh, well, you're black. Well, you have to have a big cock, or you have to be hung. And I'm just like, what? I'm just like, not all black dudes are hung, but the black dudes I've known, they are hung, but not all of us are hung or have
Right.
a big dick. So it's like
look for
it's a
some
horrible
other qualities.
stereotype.
Yeah.
Well, Jams here is also in the LGBTQ community. I feel like your story is like a little different. I don't know if you want to share anything. Since might as well put it out there. We've mentioned it a couple of times in our past episodes.
I don't feel like it's very different, to be honest, other than the fact that I was married to a man at 16, had a baby at 17, and then finally realized like this isn't the life for me, and you know, I need to be my true self, and I'm not gonna be happy unless I accept myself. So that, I feel like that would be the only aspect where my story would be different than yours. But I also realized that I was into women at a very early age, 9 years old. I didn't understand it myself. I knew the term gay was bad, but I didn't know what it really meant.
Most of us, because that's how I refer to gay as being something bad.
Yeah, like I know it was something bad, but I didn't understand what it meant as far as like same sex. I'm very like spiritual, so I was always seeking God since a very early age. Like since I was 7 years old, 8, 9, I would make friends in school, find out that they go to church, and I would be like intrigued and want to go. So I would, you know, kind of invite myself to go to their churches, and then I would be the one bringing my mom to all these churches that I went to. But then again, they don't use the term gay in church. They use the term homosexuals, because that's what it is in the Bible. I still didn't understand it then. It wasn't until like I was maybe in middle school, introduced to the internet, and then I can like, you know, look it up myself. You know, then I learned what it meant. Still only the word gay. Like I didn't look into I didn't find like, you know, the LGBTQ community and like all the layers of it.
You did mention knowing at 9 years old.
Yeah.
What did you know? Like what did you pull? Like tell me a little bit about that. I'm curious.
Was at the very young age of 9, my mom moved us from Jersey to Puerto Rico, and it was during the summertime, so of course we're going out to the beaches and stuff. So I noticed myself staring more at the women in bikinis than the guys in the trunks. I still was like, oh, you know, like he looks good, like, you know, muscular, whatever, but like it was more like, oh my God. You know, like watching the women, and it's confusing in the beginning, you know, because I just thought it was normal, like, you know.
Yeah, because I do the same thing today. Like, I'll look at a woman, but my thought is like, oh damn, she looks good in that. You know, like.
So yeah, like I struggled with the fact that like I'm just, maybe it's a culture shock, right? I'm a Jersey girl. I lived also in the city in Philly, and now I'm on the island and people are half naked all the time as opposed to just summertime. So initially it was like, maybe the curiosity is just from the culture shock. But then I was like dreaming about having girlfriends, and now all of a sudden, you know, I want my Barbies to be girlfriends, and, you know, this is the new family. You know, like another thing too, I was the only girl my age in my family at that time, like in our neighborhood. Everybody my age were my boy cousins. So I didn't have anyone to like talk to or play with. Until I started school. Again, repetitive story, met a girl who used to go to church. We were besties. This gets crazy, but it was kind of like the, oh yeah moment. Like
you started experimenting.
Yeah, like, well, I kind of had like the first experience, but it wasn't like a good experience where I'm just like, I realize it, I love it, and I want to do it. It was more of like, put me back into a confusing state of mind. You know, Hispanic parents are, you know, if there's boys around, you're not allowed to be alone or whatever.
Bring them to your room.
Yeah. So my friend had 3 older brothers, and the rule was if I was over their house and their mom wasn't home, I had to like be with her at all times. So this one day she had to take a shower before we were leaving for church, and the brothers were home and the mom wasn't there yet. So, you know, me being obedient and not wanting to get in trouble. Also the fact that like my mom always put like this fear in us. I guess it was just to keep us safe. You know, las nenas con las nenas y los nenes con los nenes, right? Like girls should always stay together. The boys, you know, separate in another room, whatever.
Yeah.
So, you know, she had older brothers. And so I like, you know, sat my ass on the toilet, waited for her to take her shower. And I don't know if it was like her curiosity or what, but then she like pops out of the shower and she's like asking me questions about like her kitty. Her kitty.
Why are you censoring this?
I don't remember exactly. I don't remember exactly if it was more of like, hey, I have pubes, you know, is this normal? Or like, does it look normal?
Yeah.
Kind of like, and I was just sitting there kind of like in shock of like,
what's happening?
Yeah, like seeing another, another naked body, right? Because I see myself all the time, but it's different. This person is just voluntarily there, like showing me. And you know, at first it was kind of like you said, 9 years old, you kind of felt like, okay, I like this, and I don't think that I should like this. It was very confusing for me. I honestly have so many traumatized, blacked out memories, so I don't remember exactly what happened. I know that eventually we went to the church that night, and I basically prayed for like understanding, for forgiveness, because I felt like it was wrong what I was feeling. I felt like it was wrong what happened, even though nothing actually happened.
Right.
I've prayed for someone to talk to about it with. Next thing I know, you know, 2 years later, we're moving back to the States, and all of a sudden everything goes back to normal. Kind of, you know, I'm 12 years old now, and I'm having all these boy crushes, and like I'm thinking I'm fixed because I thought that was a problem, you know. I was afraid to talk.
Phase.
Yeah, like, and I was afraid to talk to my mom about it because again, I understood it as homosexual and gay, and those are bad things in the Bible, and I'm a girl that loves God, and if this isn't what God approves of, then I shouldn't be doing it. So I moved back, have boy crushes, but I still like have that curiosity pretty much. I go to high school, and freshman year, I'm also in Kennedy.
High school, everybody's turning up in high school.
Back in Kennedy.
High school is where you explore who you are.
High school is where you really find yourself.
And everything. Like, everything's starting to develop, really.
It's more of like where you finally find yourself, pretty much. So I had my first like gay best friend, who is still my best friend till this day.
Same.
Yeah. And you know, like, so I'm very observant, so I got to like see he was very flamboyant, but also you could tell that he was trying to hide it a lot from his family or whatever. But through him, I met other friends in the school that were also gay, but more openly gay. There were lesbians, there's the different kinds, right? Like dykes and like aggressive girls. And, you know, I started to realize that I was having like girl crushes now. But now I understood a lot more, right, of the gay community and what it means. And also the fact that if I did come out, how it would affect my mom. And I didn't worry about the rest of my family. I only worried about how would this affect my mom. She's a very prideful kind of person where if we did anything wrong, it reflects on her. So, you know, at this point in time, I'm 14, 15. So I already had a brother who was in jail or prison for, you know, being stupid at a young adult age. I already had a sister who was a teen mom at the time. And I remember how like those things affected my family when they had happened, that I didn't want to be another
burden, kind of.
Yeah, like
burden,
a burden.
Like another thing wrong with my child.
Another disappointment where, you know, the aunts and uncles would talk about us, you know, and it would hurt my mom. You know, my mom, it's not the end of the world, you know, she still loved them anyway. But I do remember that it caused kind of like issues within the family. Or that they were going to
categorize her like, oh, such and such kids is all of them. And you didn't want that for her. And that's understood because I feel like that happens to a lot of us even in different aspects. Yeah. But yes.
Also, you know, I always had like this relationship with my mom where I'm always seeking her approval, you know, because I do feel, I've always felt like my mom doesn't love me, but not in a she hates me kind of way in I'm number
like,
5.
yeah.
You know, I'm just another one in
Just
the
an
litter.
extra, like,
Like I'm just another one in the litter. She loved me enough to like raise me, keep me alive. I wanted to be the next one of her children for her to be proud of. So, you know, I have one sister who already had graduated from college. I wanted to be the next one. And I don't know why I thought maybe accepting it myself or coming out would somehow hinder that, right?
Yeah.
Or if it didn't, and I still accomplished what I needed to do, the fact that I was gay would probably hinder her being proud of me anyway, you know?
Right.
So did you just live like a closeted life and then
Pretty
later come
much.
out?
Yeah, so pretty much I ended up meeting my son's father when I was 16. We quickly got married and then had a kid. And while I was in that relationship, I realized this isn't for me. Like it didn't feel right, you know? So I did always, and I was still in high school at the time. Around this time, I was a junior, senior, and I had just met this one girl who today is my ex-wife. But it was the first time that I like met her in the school setting or whatever, and I had like this huge crush on her, and my relationship with my husband just wasn't going right for different reasons, not for myself, you know, wanting to be rid of the relationship. He was a terrible husband and a terrible person in general. I was separated and I was crushing on this girl, but she was in a relationship with someone else, and I just still had that curiosity kind of came up again, where I decided, listen, I'm a grown-ass woman. I'm 17, but a married woman. I'm a mom. So if I want to live my life in a happy way, and if I want my kid to have a good future with a happy parent, then I have to like just accept this for myself, you know? Yeah, like I have to accept me for who I am. And it doesn't matter whether or not my mom will approve or not. So at that point is when I finally decided, like, you know, I came out to friends first and MySpace.
It is a very big struggle. Like you're constantly, I don't think people realize, or they do, but don't really fully understand
the internal
struggle that you're having. Each day living as a person that you want to be free, but you're not doing it, or you're holding back because of your parent. Like
not
you
even
care
just the parents,
so
about
much
others around you too.
But you care so much about what your family, because again, in our community, just like yours, it is something that's kind of like talked about every day. Like I know growing up in my house when I was younger with my dad, consistently like, no, no. Like
you would see them judging other people.
Right.
Yes,
Right. So it was like, no. And so even if, because I'm not going to sit here and lie. As a kid, I was curious too. You know, I had a crush on this girl named Susie.
And these things are natural too. Like,
but
it has
I was growing
to happen.
up. So to me, it was like, okay,
you're trying to you're figuring out who you are, right?
Exactly. It's a normal thing.
I did have a crush on Susie, but in the back of my mind, it was like, this is, I don't know if I don't think you met these people because they lived in the same building where Karina lived too. But I did have a crush on Susie, and whatever happened was that,
pinky up.
you know, we just, I just realized like who was doing it. No, but in the back of my mind, I was like, no, this is not how I'm supposed to live.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to like if my
wrong.
biggest fear was
it's like instilled.
Even if my dad found out or had an inkling that I liked this girl or just even thought she was cute, like I thought the worst.
Yeah.
So like my brain went back and reverted to, oh, okay, maybe I like her brother.
Yeah.
You know, like, but I know
your family.
you're scared.
We don't have that freedom to even explore within ourselves. Like, even if you wanted to, like, you know, even for people that, like, currently we don't identify with the LGBT, but it's like, damn, can I even sit with myself, or did I have to bury those feelings because of, you know, my community?
And I think for
human
me,
beings are overall.
They could be buried feelings for me too, because I do live as a straight person, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm not curious. Because I am curious.
Everybody is a little curious.
We gotta solve our man dating troubles now.
Maybe we haven't come into terms of who we really are. Because of what it is. Like, I mean, it is deep-rooted trauma that comes in within the family that doesn't let you be who you really want to be. Or just explore, because you can explore to really see. But because you denied yourself that exploration because of being scared, you just don't know. You grow into the space where you don't know.
Yeah, honestly. And when you're scared, you kind of can go one of two ways. You can put yourself in the closet and stay there forever and live a double life, a lie. Or
an unhappy life too.
And
or
women too.
You end up kind of where I was temporarily, where you're afraid to come out for repercussions. And because of that fear, you become a homophobic person, right? Where you start expressing hatred towards that community because you're internally that, and you want to be that out loud just like they are, and you hate that. So instead, you're hating what they are because of that. But it was a temporary kind of thing because of my own fear. And, you know, I never like attacked anybody or anything like that. It was just, I went to my first Pride when I was 17 and I thought I was ready. I thought I was ready. I was all excited and happy and
like, ooh, they out here
walking through. And then that was like a real culture shock.
So you guys had two different experiences.
Yeah. So,
I think when you come out the closet, in my case, I came out twice, but the second time, I feel like, I don't know if you people say, oh, you came out the closet. I think it takes a lot of guts and it takes a lot of bravery to tell people that you're close to, like, hey, this is who I am.
It's a scary moment too. Like I
Even
came
if they
out,
feel it.
Yeah, I had to come out a couple times because I had to come out to different people or different groups of people. Yeah, so it's like I said, when I came out to my friends and MySpace at the time, it was freeing. It was more easy. It was kind of like liberating, and like I was giving my authentic feeling because, again, these are the same friends that I had met when I was freshman, 14, 15, and I was curious, so I was asking a lot of questions, and basically they saw me through it, and I was finally accepting it myself, or struggling with accepting it. And then I had to properly or officially come out to like my mom, which I never got the actual opportunity to do because she ended up seeing me with a girlfriend who was a friend at the time, but she saw me with them first, and we were just talking. We weren't even like actually dating or in a relationship yet. This person was over my house and we were just sitting on the front steps, and I was kind of like, they were on the higher step and I was in between their legs like this. And we were just like comfortable, just chit-chatting in front of the house. And my mom pulled up and she gave me the dirtiest look and was just so disturbed and bothered. And honestly, like,
you felt uncomfortable.
I felt like, oh shit, like I'm gonna die today.
I feel like I could kind of
were they outwardly gay looking? Like you could tell that was a gay woman.
Yeah, she was a butch lesbian. The short hair, boy clothes, and
so it wasn't even like a way that you could play it off.
No, like, honestly, I thought, to me, she looked like a boy, so I thought I could get away with it. My mom saw her as a girl from down the block. Yeah, and I was just like, oh, shit. Okay. So, but then I had to come out to her at that moment, and it was not
good.
It wasn't a good conversation, and it wasn't a good outcome, obviously. And I didn't expect that because I was still trying to figure it out myself. This wasn't my girlfriend, so I had nothing to tell my mom. You know what I mean? Honestly, I felt like she's always known, or she had to know. And there's no way that she didn't know or have an idea, because since I was little, like, I hated the dresses. I only wore them because they forced me to wear them. As soon as I could dress myself, I was dressing in like boy clothes or like tomboy clothes, loose things that made me feel comfortable. So it's like, she's always known, because even when I was 13, 14 years old, she was buying me boxers, like, you know, like they were cartoony, but I liked SpongeBob, so she would buy me SpongeBob boxers. But like the day that she bought me rainbow boxers, I was like, oh, maybe she's, you know, trying to tell me something, like she knows and I don't know. Yeah, like, but you know, it was one of those moments where she knew about me and I didn't know about myself yet.
She knew it, but not concretely.
Yeah, so it's like,
right? So
and it's different.
Yeah.
I feel like in both communities, it's also different when you finally own up to it.
Right.
Like they can like in Spanish there's that saying too, lo que se ve no se dice.
Lo que se ve no se pregunta.
No se pregunta.
Yeah.
So it's like if you can see it, you don't have to ask.
You don't question it.
Yeah, like you don't have to ask. Like they don't want to hear. Like you can be like we even have musicians in the Spanish community. We have our uncle. Like we have an uncle.
Like everybody turns a blind eye.
They'll see it. Like they can live in authentic.
It's very clear,
but they won't. We don't have to acknowledging it.
We don't come out of the closet.
We don't have to talk about it.
It's just like it feels like as though that we know that you're gay. We just don't want.
We don't want it
to know.
To like basically display it in front of them.
Yes.
And I feel like then you're not accepting me for who I am. And it feels like, just like you were saying, it's just like you felt like it was a struggle when it came to family. I have 7 uncles, and some of them to this day still doesn't know that I'm gay. One of them knew that I was gay. There was a point where I was harassed by him for coming out to my mom.
Yeah.
And there was a situation where I finally had the guts to tell my mom that a family member that she knew that was an immediate family member on her side of the family, that he harassed me. It was like, 1, she's like, why are you waiting till now to say something?
Mm-hmm.
And 2, it's like she could have wrapped her head around it, but she believed me and she understood that this is what happened. And it feels like when you're coming out and you're trying to live yourself authentically and your family it's like, okay, we see you. Yeah. We just don't want you to bring that around us or around our kids.
Say yes. Like, we still love you. You could be who you are, just maintain not in front of us.
Yeah, like,
you know?
Yeah.
Like, keep your gay friends over there.
That was a
don't
lot
bring them
of
over.
Like when my uncles say, "Oh, you have a gay friend." Like you have a. They was fine with the girls. They was fine with the girls, which I feel like that is for the Black community. It's like that's weird.
Yeah,
you're okay with women being lesbians.
Oh.
Cover your mouth.
Well,
you're okay with women being lesbians, but with men, it's just like
no. There's always a stigma, I think, in both with the men in general, and even in regards to you. I feel like what I noticed from being on the backside of this, of her going through her journey, because I feel like even at some point when she started being gay, and because she was married before and had her son, we're just like, oh, this is a phase, you know? Like
my mom believed it was a phase.
Let her get through this. Yeah, I think a lot of us believe that. But I feel like that's more common to think with women, because I feel like when a man is gay, it's like, okay, well, you're gay. You can't really come back from that. But with women, they always feel like, they just, it's a phase, or like, like,
to be honest,
you're gonna like men. Like, you have to like men. There's always a hope that, no, that's not your end game. Like, you're not fully gay.
What do you identify as?
So I identify as queer because I'm just open to being with whoever I want to be with. I don't see people for like physical attraction. I mean, I could tell if somebody's beautiful or, or not, but that's not like my initial. I don't date someone because I find them physically attractive. I date them because I get a deep connection and we go from there.
Despite gender, basically.
Despite whether it's a man or a woman, it's like whoever I click with and it's mutual and it'll be whatever. I've had longer relationships with lesbians. So when I'm in those relationships, obviously I'm a lesbian because I can't be like, oh, I'm bi dating a woman. You know what I mean? Like, I'm with my person and that's who I'm with.
I have to educate myself more on the community and
you and so many other people.
Yeah. Because, I grew up with just a traditional gay, lesbian, or bi. That's what I know. Or trans, right?
There were some trans.
So I don't know the different terms for how each person would identify themselves. So I do have to educate myself on that just to understand it more.
I think over time when they said LGBTQ and then they put the plus.
IA plus.
LGBTQ,
like you're
IA.
adding lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer, but then you have pansexual, bisexual,
asexual.
What's that?
Asexual.
There's so many different layers. It's just
I
like
think
an umbrella.
Pansexual.
It's just the spectrum of sexuality is vast. So I think that's what people are moving towards now, just realizing that
being binary, non-binary.
And that's okay. Like, let everybody label themselves whatever they need to. Like, I feel like for me personally, pansexual and queer is almost the same thing. Like it's the same, but I'm more old school and I was born in the 80s, raised in the 90s, and learned from the 60s and the 70s. You know what I mean? So I identify as queer. Or, I mean, and that's only because I have to put a label on it. But otherwise, I
I'm
date
just me.
whoever. Yeah,
You
like
date whoever you feel.
yeah, whoever I
attracted to.
feel the
As
connection
for you,
with.
where you just know you're gay.
I just know I'm gay.
No females for you.
No female.
Everybody likes titties, but that's just
Yeah, I was.
I'm trying to get him to be my summer boyfriend as a joke, and he won't even take that.
I am not
Go
your man.
figure.
I'm not your man.
And I don't even want to kiss him. just wear matching shorts with me.
She just want to post your hand,
Just-
you know, on Instagram. Like, this my boo. We out here. Like,
You want to do that now? Because nobody's not going to recognize this big ass hand.
right. Yeah, but I'm glad we got to talk about a lot of stuff, and I feel like there's so much that we could talk about in general with this kind of topic. But
we'll definitely circle back around
We'll
to
circle
this
back,
kind of
yeah.
topic in the future.
But yay, how's everybody feel? We got our first guest on the show today.
Right, I know.
I'm so happy that
Thank
you
you
got
for
to
coming, actually.
Give us your time, share your story with
Yeah.
us.
Thank you.
Put yourself out there. Maybe you'll go viral. You never know. I'm just kidding.
Please, no.
You gotta be ready for that.
Fun fact: this is the first time I've had to share my story too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. I
I've
mean, I have
never-
a little fun fact about myself. I honestly didn't know that you were until I came across you getting married.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't know. You know what? A lot of it also, little background story, a lot of it also is because our relationship did get distant when Tiffany, I felt like Tiffany was the glue that held that side of the family with us together. So while Tiffany was gone, our relationship did fall through. But we had each other on social media. So when I did see her getting married, I'm like,
to a woman.
shit, it's a
My
woman.
wedding
Jamara-
pictures with a
Jamara
woman.
is she switched in my mind. That's how I put it ignorantly. She switched.
Yeah, but
But I didn't know. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I got into my first lesbian relationship when I was like 19. And that lasted about 7 years. Then I went into the church and
This damn church.
yeah. And then I also struggled when I came out of the church, where I felt like I went back into the closet because I went through a lot while in the church. I wasn't allowed to be myself, my gay self. Yeah, so while I was there, I wasn't allowed to be me. When I left the church, I was back in the closet and I struggled for about a year. And then I just had that mentality again of like, I'm not happy. And if I need to be happy, I need to be myself. I had to find my confidence again. And
Right. But it was like very interesting topic. I mean, of course, we need this to say that the LGBTQ community, LGBTQ. I always forget the Q.
LGBTQ.
Community is large. There's a lot of layers to it. But, this was just a portion that we wanted to cover to contribute for Pride Month.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.
Bye.
Bye, Primas.
Bye.